Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Turning Point Podcast, episode number 18. My name is Lara and I am joined once again by Lewin. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Hello.
Hello. I am... You didn't ask how I was, so I'm just going to tell you anyway.
How are you?
I've been up since 6, so I'm on my third coffee now. But I'm excited to be here. I'm a little tired because even though I got up early, I didn't compensate by going to bed early. So, yeah, I'm a little tired, but I'm excited to be here to talk about Wandavision this episode. But I'll tell you why I was up at 6, Lewin.
Okay.
So, I got my new bed delivered today.
Nice.
New mattress. I actually got the bed delivered like a week ago, but because I'm getting a free mattress, there's no like paper trail of it on the invoices because technically the mattress doesn't exist. So the delivery drivers didn't know to deliver my mattress, so I had to get a second delivery, which my manager organized to get them to bring the new mattress here as well. So that came at 6 o'clock this morning. It was dark outside still. It wasn't quite dark, but it was like, you know, where you get that like little bit of a like bluish tinge, like when it's just as the sun's, it's not quite up yet, but it's starting to turn that corner a little bit.
I've had many a morning where I've still been awake for that. Yep.
Yeah, I like how you said still been awake. So that's been my morning this morning.
My morning was wake up, get ready for work, do podcast. So far my morning has been far less interesting.
Yeah.
Except for my milk tragedy.
Yeah, you have no milk, so you can't have any breakfast.
Yeah, I've got the cereal in the bowl. It's got Glad wrap over it. I was so excited. I was like, yep, just gonna sit down with a bowl of cereal, do the podcast, enjoy life, and then there's now just a bowl of cereal, or a bowl with cereal. There's no milk. It's just a bowl of disappointment now.
Isn't that just how life is summed up in general?
Bowl
of disappointment. But speaking of disappointments, if you do enjoy this show and you want to hear more, we have a whole back catalogue of episodes. Fuck that sentence up real quick, didn't I?
You were going so smoothly.
I'm trying to figure out like a nice, concise intro for this. You know, like we have like the intro bit, and then we talk about how we're doing for a bit, and then I have like this whole bit where we talk about we plug, and I'm just trying to figure it out, and we'll go on. I thought this was going to be the one. I thought it was going to be the one.
You were going so smoothly on there.
We fucked it. Oh, god damn, we're going to have to start the whole episode again.
Fuck it, we're doing it live. Let's go.
But yeah, so if you do enjoy this podcast, you do enjoy what you're hearing, and you want to hear more, if you're on the YouTubes, first off, if you're on the YouTubes, make sure you click the like button. That really helps the show out, and also subscribe to the channel for more other content. You know, I do streams and I do other videos and things like that. We've got a Resident Evil 3 video coming up, which I'm working on, so that's exciting. But if you're on podcast platforms and still it's only Spotify, I haven't launched the other ones yet. I'm sorry. But if you are listening to this in the future and it is on like Apple Podcasts and whatnot, make sure you leave you rate the podcast, leave it a positive rating, and that really helps the show out, gets it out there on those podcast platforms. And if you are listening to this on YouTube and you want to listen to this on the go because YouTube is garbage and doesn't let you do that unless you pay for it, then head on over to Spotify. The link is in the description. We've got all the episodes there. You actually hear them early over on Spotify. We released these because I released the video versions like a week later, because who has time to edit things? Am I right? Lewin wouldn't really know much about that, but
it's true.
Like, yeah, who has time to edit things these days? But yeah, all the podcasts are released early over on podcast platforms, so make sure you check the links in the description below. Go head them out. Leave us positive ratings, positive reviews, things like that. We got great stuff coming up on the podcast. which I've just been talking with Lewin about off camera. So we should have an interesting couple of episodes ahead of us. So make sure you check. Hopefully. So make sure you're here for that. But this episode, we're going to be talking about Wandavision, which is the first of the new Marvel shows on Disney Plus. You know what I am excited about, Lewin? Quickly.
Yes.
Is I'm really excited that it's not fucking hot right now.
Yeah, it's fairly chill, even in Canberra.
Quite nice. I've got a jumper on. I don't have the fan on for the first time in like 5 months. It's been great. I'm loving it.
Somehow it didn't even register that I didn't get the normal. I've got my fan on. Don't know if you can hear it in the background. No, I can't talk.
Well, I've always got to check just in case. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's really nice, and I like this weather a lot. It's really good because it means I don't sweat as much because I don't have aircon, and also my house just traps fucking heat. So even with the fan on, honestly, it's not that great. It's so I'm just excited to not be sweating, and the only time I like sweating is when I do a workout, and any other time it can fuck off, quite frankly. I'm not about that life. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. This is great. I love it. So I just thought I'd give a little shout out to the weather for doing bits. It's doing a good job. But, Lewin.
Yes.
What have you been up to lately? It's been a few weeks since we talked about Mandalorian.
I have finished reading the latest lineup of the Star Wars: The High Republic era. I've really enjoyed those books. They're really fucking good.
Not if you watch certain channels on the internet. They'll tell you how bad it is without even reading it.
Mock off the name. I know exactly who we're probably talking about.
Yeah. Good old Nerdrotic.
I wasn't even on about Nerdrotic, but he can be the scapegoat.
Yeah. Fuck Nerdrotic.
Yeah, it comes down to that sometimes. Other than that, I've been doing completely the opposite of 2021 things and been watching Lord of the Rings in cinema. And that's been pretty damn cool.
Oh. A nice little trip to the movies.
Yeah, since, we can do that. I'm not sure if Sydney can, but...
No, we can.
Oh, cool.
We've had movie theaters open for ages. There's just been no reason to go, so I just haven't gone.
Fair.
I haven't been to a movie theater. The last movie I saw in the movie theaters was Birds of Prey. So that was over a year ago. So yeah, there we go. That's fun. But that's exciting. You've been watching The Lord of the Rings. Here's the thing with Lord of the Rings, Lauren, is I do enjoy those movies, but they're not the movies I could rewatch.
I'm pretty much the same, but I was doing a marathon with a friend who's wanted to do it for ages, and then we finished The Hobbit, and then they popped up in cinemas, and I was like, well, fuck it, may as well do it grandiose style. And so that's what this is. I've been really enjoying it. If you're gonna
do it properly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking about doing like a full Star Wars rewatch, like the Skywalker saga, for a little bit. But I haven't done it. I've been watching a lot of like movies on Netflix though, like fucking like horror films and like just films that I haven't seen recently. Yeah. I'm sure Tom would be proud of me. But I've been. What did I watch? I watched the movie Hush on Netflix, which is like. It's like a home invasion type movie. Like this girl lives in like the woods in her little house. Like she has like a neighbor, but it's like a woody area, right? Okay. So like the houses aren't like directly next to each other. But so she lives there, and there's this like just fucking crazy guy, just doing things. But the thing is like it's a home invasion movie, but the difference is with this one is she's deaf. So she has to like deal with the whole situation. So the crazy guy is like obviously toying with her and playing with her throughout the film because he knows that she is deaf. So he's just kind of messing with her. So but it was actually a really good movie. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a load of like just B-movie horror garbage, but yeah. It was actually really good. I quite enjoyed watching that film. And I finally watched Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves, which was an interesting time. I actually really enjoyed that film. except the ending. I thought the ending was shit, and it's definitely dropped that film down a few pegs for me.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you've seen it, but
I've never seen it.
yeah, I won't talk to it. I think it's a good movie, but like the ending just didn't do it for me at all. So I'm kind of like, it's a bit alright, but yeah, it's good. It's got Ana de Armas in it, and yeah, Keanu Reeves and this other chick, and it's actually really good. Good movie. I quite enjoyed a lot of that. Shot well, but yeah, I don't know what I was saying then. But you know, like that's what I've been doing. I've just been like catching up on a few just movies that have been sitting in my Netflix list for so long and I haven't watched, and been doing that. What else have you been doing though? You've been doing that, probably watching Lord of the Rings. You've been any games you're playing? Anything you're doing?
Well, I've finished Lego Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Nice.
Do I think it's a good game? To some capacity.
It's got Ahsoka in it, so it's the best Lego Star Wars
but it's
game.
got early Ahsoka in it. Not.
That's fine. It's fine. We'll just ignore that part.
Yeah,
We'll just go. It's Ahsoka in it, so it's the best Lego Star Wars. Lego Star. God, I can't talk today. Fuck me. It's the best Lego Star Wars game because it's got Ahsoka in it. I've never played it, and I do plan on playing at some point.
Fair enough. I didn't personally care for it in the end. It got
that's what
far
I've heard.
too
Like, I've heard
tedious.
it's like, yeah, I've heard it's like not the good one. Here's the thing, like, so when it comes to these catch-up segments, I always have like a lot more than you have
Yeah, it's true.
to talk about. But I've been replaying Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag recently.
Solid game.
Not in the past like week or so, but like since the last episode I started playing that again. I've been playing a bit of that. Because, you know, I just want to play good Assassin's Creed games. And Black Flag is one of those good Assassin's Creed games. So I was like, fuck, I haven't replayed this since it came out. And I just remember... I remember at the time thinking it was a bad Assassin's Creed game, but like a good game. But I've been watching a lot of videos, and it seems like the general opinion, because of what we've got since... Black Flag
retroactively become a good Assassin's Creed game.
It's yeah, and a lot of people are citing it's because of Edward's character arc. Like, even though for that game you don't play as an assassin for like 95% of it, because Edward doesn't actually join the Brotherhood until like the end of the game, right? Yeah. Even though you don't do that, like the character journey and the pirate ideology meshes so well with assassin ideology, and it ends up becoming a really good Assassin's Creed story, and that's been kind of the common opinion since Black Flag's release, because, you know, now we just get games where you play as a fucking Viking who doesn't give a shit about the Assassin's Creed at all. So it's like, well, if you don't give a shit, why should I give a shit? And at least with Edward, there's like those common goals, and it makes sense for pirates too. Like the ideologies of both are very similar, so it kind of makes sense to have a pirate, you know, eventually become an assassin and find higher purpose in life. And that's all Edward's character arc is, right? So yeah, it's kind of, I've watched like quite a few videos, like, and I'm talking like lengthy videos. Like I watched like an hour and a half long video on Black Flag, but I just remember the gameplay being so good as well. Not just like the ship combat, but even like I know the game is plagued with tail missions, but like even just like the combat and shit, I remember being so good. So I was like, fuck it, I want to jump back in, because I'm playing through the Ezio collection on stream, and I just finished Assassin's Creed 2. And I'm like, I don't want to play the Ezio collection in private. Like, I'll keep that on stream. So, like, what's another Assassin's Creed game that I could play? And I was like, fuck it, we'll just play Black Flag. And yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Been playing through that. And just, you know, having a good time sailing around the place, listening to sea shanties. That's been a lot of fun. But I've also been diving into Red Dead Online recently, actually.
Interesting.
Again, not for like a couple of weeks, but like at the time we were recording the last episode, I just started diving into it, and then I played like for like a week straight. I just played Red Dead Online. But I'm really enjoying that. That's been a lot of fun. I just like it's like a really I don't know, like it's not like GTA online where like when you play that, you're constantly being you're having to deal with other people's bullshit while playing with that. I don't know, you play more GTA Online these days than what I do.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, just playing that, like just being in the world and just trying to do your own thing, and with the amount of just like bullshit that's in that game as well, this is a bit different. Like I do encounter other players, but every time I've encountered another player, no one has tried to like kill me, no one has tried to do anything. So it just kind of like, and I know I'm playing on PC, and I know the PC is plagued with hackers, which is a bit of an issue. But I've encountered one hacker who like teleported me across and everyone in the lobby across the map to their position, and it was just like as everyone was spawning in, it was just like a rainfall of like people falling to the ground, which I thought was kind of funny, but because I was already there, I wasn't respawning, so I was just watching these people from all over the map just piling down, and it was kind of funny. But like that's the only time I've encountered that. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. I'm just enjoying it as like more of like a chill, experience. I've just been doing a lot of like hunting, like going around hunting and skinning animals, and I've just got enough to I've opened up like my moonshine business. So I have like that up and running now, so I can do missions for that. So it's just been kind of a bit more of a chill experience with a bit of combat here and there when I have to like shoot NPCs and stuff, but based on my experience so far, and I have no idea what it's like on consoles, but based on my experience, it's been pretty decent. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
That's good.
Just kind of chilling out, and I still get to experience the world, which is what I really wanted to do anyway, was just experience that world and explore it and see what's what, and it looks gorgeous. Like that game has incredible graphics.
Yeah.
It looks great. I don't know what it looks like on PS4, but on PC,
on PS4
it looks so great.
Fucking amazing, and I'm sure on a PC it looks even better.
Oh, I love it so much. It's just so, it looks so real. Like it looks so real, and I love it. Very like photorealistic world going on there. But yeah, that's been a bit of fun. I started watching The Office.
Hey,
the American one, which I believe is the more iconic one, right?
Yes.
Like that's like
is.
the iconic one, yeah. So I'm up to, I smashed through season 1, which only had like a few episodes, but I'm smashing through season 2 really quickly. And it's the type of show like I put on when I'm like I just have it playing like I do with a lot of these kind of sitcoms. So like when I'm getting ready of a morning, I have it on. Usually if I've got like 20 minutes to kill, I'll pop an episode on. But I've been really enjoying that. That's like a really good show. I absolutely hate Michael Scott as a character so much. Like I just hate him. It's not because I just find him. I get it's the point of the character. Like this isn't a criticism of the show, by the way. But like every time I see him do anything, I just cringe so hard watching that. But yeah, I do enjoy that character a lot. And I enjoy all the characters on the show actually. I also like what's the temp's name? The guy that starts out as the temp.
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. You can just see in his face all the time how like fucking done he is. But he just doesn't do, like every time they cut to a shot of him, he's just like, he just looks like he's so done. I'm really enjoying that show. It's a lot of fun. One thing we've both been doing, and we have talked a little bit about this on the show, and that is Wandavision. That recently wrapped up. It wasn't last week, it was the week before. Yeah, it was the start of March. But that's recently wrapped up. And so I thought we'd just talk about it and give our thoughts. Now, this is the first of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, which is interesting because like the thing I've noticed about this is apparently what's the fucking book called? I can't remember what the book is called. I'm just jumping into spoilers here, but like the book thing that Agatha has, that turns up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Huh.
It's in I think it's the Ghost Rider season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it's season 4. I don't know. I don't really remember it. I've only watched up to like half of season 5 of that show. But apparently with this, it's I think they're decanonizing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. I think that's what they're doing. I don't know. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I'm not like against that, but I do actually think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually pretty good. So I'm not, whatever, but it's neither here nor there. But yeah, the book's in that, but it looks like completely different. Like it's basically a different thing, but it's meant to be the same thing. But also, like, with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they kind of just started doing their own thing anyway. Like, season 5, 6, and 7 is just kind of, like, so disconnected from the MCU. It's kind of like, the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of in the MCU, but they're not, you could easily say they're not canon, and it's not going to make any difference. They will reference
the MCU. The MCU will never reference them.
Yeah, it's the same with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, the MCU never really references that show, but they always have, like, the crossovers with that show. Like, the early seasons did it. They kind of abandoned that idea once they decided, let's just do our own thing and not worry about what the MCU's doing. But yeah, that was a good show. I quite enjoyed that show. But yeah, look, it's neither here nor there. If it's being decanonized to make way for these Disney shows, then whatever. Yeah, so WandaVision. Got a little sidetracked there. So WandaVision is the new, like, I guess, the new norm for Marvel. We're going to have, like, TV shows and, films and all that kind of come together. And I've made it clear in the past, Lauren, I made it clear that I just don't give a shit about the MCU part of the MCU.
Yep.
I don't care about the interconnectivity of it or anything like that. Like, I don't care. Like, it's what it is. I really don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if this leads into this or, this is like a reference to this. I don't care. Avengers Endgame was my stepping off point for that. Now I'm like, okay, if the individual thing interests me or it's like for characters that interest me, then I will watch it, right? So originally I wasn't going to watch this show. I had no interest in watching it. I was like, look, Wanda and Vision are two, honestly, like, characters in the MCU that had no development whatsoever. Didn't really care. Like, I think Scarlet Witch is cool, but she's not much more than that. You know what I mean? Like, she looks cool and she has cool powers, but there's not much more going on under the hood. Besides, like, what they did with her in Age of Ultron. But in all the other films, it's like, isn't it funny that, like, her brother dies and she just forgets about it in the next film? It's like, it doesn't matter anymore, like, there's nothing there. And I also never ever found that relationship believable. So when it came time to the end of Infinity War, that was the film, Infinity War, where, like, Scarlet Witch, Wanda has to kill Vision, I was just like, you know what, I don't care. Like, I think there were some great performances there. Like, Elizabeth Olsen's a great actor, but, like, I just didn't care because I was like, I don't care about these characters at all.
Yeah.
So, and then he died again, and I was like, whatever. I did, however, like the bit in Endgame when Wanda, like, went up against Thanos and was like, you took everything from me, and Thanos is like, I don't know who you are, and she's just like, you will. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty badass, and I love that. I love that she went toe-to-toe with Thanos for a little bit there, but beyond that, like, I don't really have much investment in these characters. I don't know how you feel about these characters.
I have a bit more investment than I would say you based off that synopsis, but they're not top tier investment. It's not Tony Stark or Spider-Man or anybody. Yeah, like, for me, it's the case of thing, like Vision died, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I think that's great. But yeah, like, I didn't really care, and I didn't care for that relationship. So this was a show, and plus also the show's called WandaVision, which at the time, before we knew anything about this show at all, and all we knew was the title, I was like, this is a fucking lazy title. This is a terrible title for a TV show. What are they thinking? Now, with hindsight, it makes sense. I get it. But, like,
at the time, I was like, fuck, just sounds terrible. Everything about this sounds terrible. And it wasn't until the first trailer came out that I was like, oh, there's actually something interesting going on here. And then the more I learnt about the show, the more I became interested in it. So I watched it because I was like, you know what? I want to watch a Marvel sitcom with Wanda and Vision. Why the fuck not? So that's why I decided to watch the show. I don't know if you had any plans on ever watching the show, or if you were always going to watch the show.
I was always going to watch it because I'm very invested in the MCU.
Yeah. Like, I used to be. I'm not anymore, you know? Like, it is what it is.
Endgame was not a jumping off point for me.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm out. There's just too many of them. I don't care. I don't need to see every single movie that comes out now. You know, I still haven't seen
I've got far too much free time in my life, so I'm going to use it doing what I love.
Yeah, fair enough. But, like, for me, I just don't need to. You know, like, I mean, I don't really care. You know, I'm not going to watch The Eternals. I don't care. I'm not going to watch...
I will watch it, but I also don't really care.
I'm not going to watch whatever that martial arts one is.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that because I don't care. I will watch Doctor Strange after watching this show. I'm invested in watching that, not because of Doctor Strange, because of Wanda. And like I said, I'll watch Spider-Man if it's like a Spider-Verse type film. Otherwise, I'm not going to watch it. But what else is coming out that I'm interested in? Oh, and Thor. Of course, I'm going to watch Thor.
Yeah, it's Taika Waititi.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that. Of course, I'm going to watch that. And of course, Black Widow comes out soon, which they're still insisting is going to come out in May. So
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and I like that character, so I'm definitely invested in watching that film. But like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not invested in it anymore. You know, like I've kind of moved on from it. You know, and to me, like Endgame does feel like an end. You know, it's not like
it's meant to be.
It's a natural. I know, yeah, it's a natural jumping off point for me. Like, let's say if I jumped off with I don't know, fucking. What was another movie in that phase that came out? Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I don't know. I was just thinking. Well, let's just say I watched a film in that phase that I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I was like, you know what? I'm done with these films. It would just feel like a weird jumping off point because, like, you know that there's an ending coming, so it's just like, I don't really care this much about this film or whatever. I didn't watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. I had every intention of watching it. I just never did. And I'm never going to now. Like, the time has passed. It's done. I'm moved on. But yeah, so like for now on, MCU is very much a thing of like, if I want to watch the individual thing and that interests me and it grabs me, I'll watch it, you know? Or if I hear it's really good. Like if I hear people raving about it, then yeah, maybe I'll watch it. But as for like further team up movies, I really don't care. As for like, yeah, the Eternals and just shit like that, I don't give a shit. I'm not interested. There's a what's the other show that's coming out?
Loki?
No, not Loki. There's what's her name's face from the video game?
Game?
Kamala Khan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's got a show coming. I don't care. I'm not gonna watch that. I don't give a shit. Also, Hawkeye. I will watch Hawkeye if I like the trailers. If I like the trailers, I'll watch it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I'm kind of tossing and turning on Loki. I'm not really sure if I want to watch it. Like, I like Loki as a character, but I don't know if I'm invested enough to watch a show. But, I mean, you know, it looks interesting, so, yeah, maybe. Yeah. But, like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a definite for me. Like, I have to watch that show. Because I love those characters. They're my boys. And I've got to support my boys, you know? But,
I get you.
Plus, it's also, like, I do like the last two Captain America movies, and it seems to be, like, a big returning of all those characters and that kind of, like, I guess, like, that section of the MCU. It's just, like, a big reunion of all that kind of stuff. Like, we've got characters from Civil War in there, we've got characters from Winter Soldier in there. So I think it's going to be good. So I'm interested in watching that. But yeah, back to topic. WandaVision. I had no interest in watching it until I saw it was a sitcom. And then I was like, I'm in. I'm on board. You've sold me straight away. That first trailer where I saw like the fucking 1950s or 60s or whatever it was, I was like, yes, give me this. I want this. But WandaVision, I am pleased to say I quite enjoy this show. I thought it was really good. What did you think of it?
I also quite enjoyed.
I'm going to shut up for a bit. I'm going to drink my coffee and you just talk about it for a bit.
I also quite enjoyed WandaVision. I had much higher. Well, I wouldn't say I had higher expectations. I guess when you're invested in a series, your expectations never really go high because you're gonna stick with it anyway. So what's the point in getting disappointed by something? But
there's only one thing in this entire show that disappoints me, but I'm not going to get into it yet. I can't.
Fair enough.
It's not in spoilers.
Fair enough. I'd say I very much liked the series start to finish. It had its downs primarily came in the last 4 episodes, and I'll get into that later. But
yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I think just all round, it's a solid series of television. Just all round. Like, I think it's pretty solid all up. The big thing I like about it is the fact that it actually gives these characters some development.
Yes.
And I think it was good to do it as a TV series because it actually gives... Because even though there is the sitcom element to this and there is that kind of like mystery element, this show is very much about that relationship and about those two characters and how they interact with each other. And even though we're in the context of, like, say, the 50s in the first 2 episodes, we learn a lot about these characters throughout the show in all the different time periods. And I really enjoyed these characters. Like, I Wanda and Vision are some of my favorite characters now because of this show.
Yeah.
Paul
Bettany did a fucking fantastic
Paul
job.
Bettany, what a legend!
Elizabeth
Like, I never
Olsen
thought
did
again.
a fantastic job.
I never thought neither of these actors were bad in the MCU. Like, I always thought Paul Bettany was good. I always thought Elizabeth Olsen was good. I just thought there was no writing there to back them up.
Yeah.
You know, like, Vision was very much a case of beyond, like, Age of Ultron. It was very much a case of, like, these characters just exist.
Yeah.
You know? But let's be honest, looking at Wanda now, Wanda's an absolute fucking serve for Captain America's team in Civil War. Like, holy shit. What a win. What a win to get that character on that team. She's the most powerful person there besides Vision. Like, there's even though she hasn't unlocked her full powers yet, like, she's still more powerful than literally anyone in that whole fight scene outside of Vision. And I'm like, what a fucking serve. Well done, Cap. I applaud.
I'm more Team Iron Man, but Cap got all the high hitters.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man did have Vision, I guess, but
Iron Man had Spidey. I'm biased.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is my favorite superhero.
Yeah,
Not sure
true.
if I've ever mentioned that.
True.
He is.
Spider-Man's great. I love Spider-Man. I think he's probably my favorite like, just Marvel character, I think. Even though I've never played the Spider-Man game. And
it's fucking fantastic.
And
but
all that. You know, he's my favorite character, but I just don't engage with half of his shit. Nah, I really enjoy that character. And I actually like Tom Holland in that movie and in the Avengers movies more than in his own movies.
Yeah.
I think he's a much better character in those movies, but, you know, it's, again,
I
neither
think
here
Far
nor
From
there.
Home gets his character pretty well, but
I don't know, I haven't watched it and I don't plan to.
It gets his character pretty well, but the other
I just watched Homecoming and I was just like, yeah, Homecoming's It was fine. Like, I have nothing bad to say about it. I'm just like, yeah, it was a very... Actually, that was one of the films I'm talking about. Sorry, it was very much one of those films where I was like, after watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like WandaVision. It's a good show. 10 out of 10. Would recommend watching it.
Yeah.
There's good performances in it.
Alright, podcast done. We've done this.
Yeah, sweet. Cool.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Who else? Okay, let's move on to spoilers. Let's just jump straight into it, eh?
It's really a show that you can't talk about without spoilers.
Yeah. So let's talk about we'll just jump in straight into it. So let's talk about Wanda being the villain.
Yeah.
I really like this. I thought this was a really good decision to make her the villain, and I would have liked them to stick with it more instead of making Agatha like the bad guy.
Yeah.
But obviously I get, like, because Wanda's the protagonist, she needs to have an antagonist. And for those who don't know, like, antagonist doesn't necessarily mean villain. Like, you can have characters in
As
stories
long as
that
someone
are...
is against the good guy, the protagonist, they're an antagonist.
Well, here's the thing. Like, good guy and bad guy is a very simplified way of looking at it.
That's why I changed it to protagonist.
The actual, like, official description for what a protagonist and antagonist is a protagonist is a character that needs to that goes through a change throughout the story, that needs to learn something and change. The antagonist is the official description is an antagonist is someone who forces that change on the protagonist. So in most stories, it's usually a good guy versus bad guy type thing, right? Like, you have your protagonist and then your antagonist is the bad guy. But there's also a lot of stories out there where the protagonist and antagonist is the same person. Or the antagonist could be an entity or, you know, like an idea rather than an actual individual. Like, take Joker, for example. Like, Gotham City is very much the antagonist of that film. It's not Thomas Wayne, it's Gotham City, and Joker's the protagonist. And even though Joker's the villain, he's the protagonist of the story and whatever. And it's very much the same here. Wanda is the protagonist of the story, but she is the villain of this story. Hands down. Like, Agatha is an antagonist in the sense that, in the very traditional sense, that she forces a change on Wanda. I'm a little confused as to what I know Agatha's motives. Is her name Agatha? What's her actual name?
It's
I keep calling her Agatha.
It's Agatha. It's Agatha.
Doesn't
Harkness.
she have another? Oh, Agatha Harkness.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's good because she was
Agnes
Agnes, right? Yeah, that's right. Nah, I get it now. Okay, yeah, cool. So Agatha. I mean, I guess her motive is to steal Wanda's power. I guess. But, like, outside of that, she doesn't really have much of a motive. Like, she's not really, like... At least I can't remember anyway. I don't think she really wanted to, like, destroy the world or, like, anything like that. Like, she was very much like, I just want your power.
Yeah.
Where Wanda is very much the villain of this story because she does some fucked up shit in this. Like...
For arguably bad reasons.
Yeah. It's very bad. Like, she is literally a bad guy in this story. And, yeah, I really love the end. Like, so basically, I mean, for those who haven't seen it, I guess I don't know why you're listening to this part, but essentially what happens is, the sitcom world is, like, it's not like it's like an alternate reality, but it's essentially this, like, town that's been closed off from the rest of the world, and all the inhabitants in the town are essentially being mind-controlled by Wanda to play a role in these sitcom worlds. And man, like, that final episode, like, you remember the part where Agatha, like, wakes that really bitchy character from, like, the first episode?
Fucking Dottie.
Yeah, and she's just, like, straight up like, hey, like... Look, can you just let my kid out of the room? Like, maybe they could play with your sons and, like, they can all be friends. Like, just let her out of her room. And I'm like, holy shit. There are literally kids just locked away. And it's actually something that the show brings up, because the show brings up early on, you know, why isn't there any children at all?
It's one of Vision's main suspicions.
Yeah, and I was just like... damn, this is, like, really fucked up. And, like, it's like you see it, like, you only really see what's happening around Wanda and Vision, but then you have, like, the outskirts of towns where people are just, like, frozen and just, like, they're all controlled. Like, there was that lady who was, like, putting up the washing, but she's, like, just doing that same action, and she's just, like, you can see, like, the tears running down her face as she does it, because she's just stuck. It's pretty messed up. It's pretty fucked. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting turn. And yeah, like you said, like, I mean, arguably, like, it is the wrong reasons to do this.
Everyone goes through grief.
Yeah.
I just believe that if you go through grief, you shouldn't hostage situation an entire town.
I think that's the only way to deal with the situation. Like
Okay, note
that's
to self. If anything happens to you, don't be in Sydney at the time.
I think that's the only acceptable way to deal with the situation. But yeah, so like going into this, like I knew the show was going to be about grief, and I was like, I don't really care because I don't care about these characters, but the premise is interesting, so that's what hooked me. And yeah, because this show does the work. You know, a lot of people say that the first 2 episodes, you know, the first 3 episodes are a bit like kind of eh. You know, it's not till episode 3 that kind of something starts to happen in this show. But I will say those first, even though they're playing heightened versions of themselves, those first 2 episodes are so important at building that relationship and dynamic that the movies don't do. So it's super important. I do believe, like, because they did release the first 2 episodes at the same time. Yes. I do believe it should have been the first 3 episodes. I think the first 3 episodes should have been released that first week, because then you've got that cliffhanger to bring people back, where episode 2 doesn't really have that. You know, the world just turns to color and it's like, oh, we're in the 70s now or whatever. It's like, that's not really like a cliffhanger. Like, there needed to be like that push. And I know that's the biggest criticism of the show, is the first 2 episodes are fine together, but like it doesn't really grip you to watch the rest of it.
Separated from the rest of the show.
It is. Although I will say, Drunk Vision is fucking great. I love it so much. It was incredible. Even my brother, who doesn't, I don't even think has really watched this show, sat down to watch that because it was just so funny.
It was the first time I looked and I went, oh fuck, I actually really like Paul Bettany.
Yeah, he's really good. He's got quite a range, doesn't he? Do you know what's interesting? I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes, but for those first few black and white episodes, a lot of Vision's head is CGI in this. And for those first couple of episodes, he's painted blue with dots all over his face. I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes.
I've not, no.
Yeah, and the reason why he'd be painted blue instead of purple is because blue would probably show up better in black and white, because you have to light things differently and color things differently when you're shooting in black and white, because colors come through differently in black and white. So yeah, I think that's why. But yeah, you see the behind the scenes, and he's got, like, you know how Vision has like his whole like bald head with the like the no ears and everything. You watch like a behind the scenes, and it's literally just Paul Bettany sitting there with like a bald cap on, but his ears are fully exposed. They're not even painted, but his entire face is painted blue with like all these dots all over his face. So I will say that's interesting.
Just the idea of that feels mildly cursed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd say look up that image is circulating around online. You'll see it. But yeah, a lot of the Vision stuff in this show is like his face is CGI, which is different to the films, because the films they actually have like the full prosthetic like head piece for him, and then they did CGI enhancements, because I know in the films he had dots over his face as well. But like it's basically like you paint your face and then put the little thing on, and then there you go. In this, they're like, nah, don't worry about it. Just we'll paint your face blue and put some dots on it, and we'll figure out the rest. So I thought that was kind of cool. But one thing I want to talk about with these opening episodes, and we're just going to jump into the sitcom bits, because we talked about Wanda being the villain here. We'll kind of come back to it when we talk about the finale and stuff. But the sitcom episodes, the one thing I liked is the visual effects matched the time period.
Yes.
But like it looks like these things are flying around, but it looks like they're on a bit of string. You know what I mean? Like that's how it looks.
I grew up watching a lot of... I didn't watch the Dick Van Dyke Show, which I think is what the first episode was based off of.
Yeah, heavily based off it. Yeah.
But I watched a lot of Bewitched growing up.
Yeah, which was an episode later on. The Bewitched episode was...
The second one was the Bewitched episode.
Yeah.
And I got very used to 50s, 60s special effects.
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke was directly involved in this as well, in the first episode.
Serious?
Yeah, no, he was involved with it, I'm pretty sure.
Fucking love that, man.
I don't know if it's going to be in his IMDb, but I know from interviews that he was like consulting on the first episode.
That's cool.
So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first two episodes, and it's not my favorite part of the show, but I'm gonna say, like, a lot of people hate the first two episodes. Like, every time you see criticism of the show online, it's always like once you get past the first two episodes, it's actually good. I disagree. I think this show is great in the first two episodes. I think it's at its peak in terms of like just sheer...
Its only focus in the first two episodes is on Wanda and Vision's relationship, and like you said earlier, it's those two episodes are there to sell you on that relationship.
Yeah, it's actually to lay the groundwork, so
you're
the
not
rest of the
get
show's
the
believable.
emotional attachment without that.
Yeah. And also, like, they do put hints of little things in there, like, there's the bit where she sees the drone or whatever, and it's, like, in colour, but the rest of the world is still black and white, so it's like, oh, well, what's going on? But the first hint we get of any kind of control over this is it the first or the second? I think it's the second episode, because the first episode ends, like, the way a sitcom usually would end. But then I think the second episode is when they're out the front and the guy comes up out of the sewers. And then Wanda just, like, rewinds time or whatever.
Yep.
And then that's when the world goes into the colour in the 70s and stuff. Yep. So there's, like, those little hints and little bits of, like, things aren't right. But you don't really know what's going on yet in that. And you don't really find out until... Like, you get the idea that Wanda has some kind of control, but you don't get the idea that she is the one causing this. Like, a lot of it comes across as like, well, maybe she's just trapped in this alternative reality. Maybe it's like an experiment or something, and
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Episode 3, I barely remember episode 3, but episode 3 was the one. That was the one with fucking what's her name?
That was
Monica Rambeau. That was like her big episode. I will say I don't think a lot of the sitcom-y stuff is funny in this. Like, I think there's like moments in those first few episodes, but I think as the show progresses, it becomes... the actual sitcom element becomes less and less funny. To the point where, like, the jokes that are being told aren't funny jokes. They're just kind of like whatever jokes. Especially the good old classic dick joke, am I right?
Wait, which one?
Ralph Boner.
Oh, right, yep.
Yeah, that's one thing I was really disappointed on. Like, I wasn't expecting that Evan Peters to be the X-Men Quicksilver, but I was expecting, something a bit more than his whole presence in the show boiling down to a dick joke. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, what? Why? You know what I mean? Like, that was just fucking shit, and I hate that so much. But we'll come back to that. But, like, yeah, like, I didn't find the sitcom elements funny. But one thing I did like is, like, the visual effects. The third episode was the one where there was the guy trimming the hedge.
Yes. And
he just starts, like, fucking just going through the wall, and Vision's just, like, kind of like, yeah, okay. But yeah, everyone kind of, like, there was a lot of theories going around online, which probably comes to a lot of the reason as why a lot of the people were disappointed with the ending of this show, because they were just hyping up, like, fucking everyone as Mephisto or whatever like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There was no way that was ever going to happen.
There was a slight chance, but then you get to, like, the fourth episode, and you're like, if there's no sign of it now, it's not happening. I
mean, everyone pretty much predicted that Agnes was going to be involved.
I knew from the beginning, because fucking, the comics have Agatha Harkness as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And someone put a comparison up between Agnes and Agatha, and I was like, oh, yeah, alright.
Yeah. But also, like, as the episodes start progressing, like, especially once the kids come into it and the kids just age up and she just does not react to it at all, you're just like, okay, there's more going on. Because they did do a fake out with her character. It was in the Halloween episode.
Yes.
Where she was, like, caught on the end and she's just acting like a town resident. And I remember listening to a podcast afterwards, and they're like, well, I guess our theories about Agnes are wrong and she's just another person trapped there. But then, like, the following episode, they, like, just they start going, well, now she's seeing these kids grow up. Was that in the Halloween episode?
The fake out was in the Halloween episode.
The fake out was, but it was weren't the kids aging in that as well?
Kids grew up the episode before.
Fuck, I can't even remember. But yeah, like in that, she was just not reacting to it at all. She was just like, oh, they grow up so quickly, that kind of thing. But then, then they just, the next episode after the Halloween episode, they just did a full 180, like, no, it was Agatha all along. Which I do like that song, by the way. That was a fun song.
It's a little bit of a bop. It's good.
The song at the end of the episode when she's revealed. That was great. What a fun time. I don't know, what did you think of it?
I thought it was an absolute bop.
Yeah. It's a fucking banger. So yeah, the sitcom episodes, we kind of go through all of them. You got your 50s with your Bewitched and your Dick Van Dyke. You've got the 70s. What was the 80s? That was the Halloween one, right?
The Halloween one was the 2000s episode.
Was it? Fuck me.
Yeah, because it was the Halloween one was based around. Or was it? No, wait.
No, it wasn't, because there was the Modern Family episode after that.
Yes, okay. The Halloween one was the 90s.
Yeah.
Was there an 80s
Oh, no,
episode?
it would have been more the 80s was kind of like the episode before, because Agnes was dressed up in that 80s workout gear, and then the Halloween episode, but the Halloween episode was very much not that sitcom-y type thing, because if you think about it,
lay down the plot.
yeah, because if you think about what 90s sitcoms were there, you're looking at things like Frasier, Seinfeld, Friends, and each episode has been doing a big show of that time period, and it's kind of hard to do Friends because Friends is arguably the biggest sitcom from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do Friends in this show, so it feels like they just didn't bother, and they're just like, look, let's just not do it.
It was
Malcolm in the Middle. That was the episode before, though.
No, that was the 90s episode. That was the Halloween one.
Was it? Fuck me.
Yeah.
I thought it was the episode with the kids. No, you're right. Yeah, no, because they introduced Quicksilver, and then no, I remember. But yeah, the actual it was Malcolm in the Middle, but it was only for the little bit at the start, and the rest of the episode was just kind of it is what it is. Yeah. But I guess it's hard to kind of do, those kind of sitcoms. But then they did go to the Modern Family, which I did quite enjoy. I enjoyed the documentary style sitcom episode. That was fun. I quite enjoyed that. Again, it wasn't funny, but just the style of it, I like that style, especially.
There was a few good jokes in the Modern Family based one.
Look, I can't remember. I just remember Wanda just sitting in front of the camera. I do actually. Do you know what bit I remember the most? It's the bit where Vision is talking to Darcy and then looks directly at the camera with with that face that he has. It's that just kind of annoyed, disappointed kind of face just directly into the camera. I thought that was funny. And then you cut to the interview with him and he's like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? He's taking the mic off and he's just walking away. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, that's fun. But then after that, the sitcoms kind of run out.
And then you're just back into the MCU.
Yeah, and we had a big... because it's the final 2 episodes, so we have a big lore-based episode. And just a big character piece for Wanda. And then we have the final showdown, which we'll get to.
Yes.
But yeah, I quite enjoyed the sitcom aspect of this, and I wish there was more of it.
It was very nice. It makes the show unique in a way that I don't think this show would have survived without a gimmick.
Yeah. It's not like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Falcon and the Winter Soldier isn't going to have a gimmick. It's very much going to be this is exactly what
you're in the Winter Soldier Civil War aspect. That's what you're watching.
The Winter Soldier is the best MCU movie.
It was my favorite for the longest time.
Yeah,
and arguably it is a pretty damn good plan. I hate now. Actually, Endgame is my favorite.
Oh yeah, Endgame's fair. I give Endgame fair. I think Infinity War was shit, but Endgame.
Infinity War's a better movie. Endgame's a better fan service movie.
Let's talk about the least interesting part of this entire show. Sword.
Yeah.
Sword and the outside world. What's going on the outside? First off, what's his name? Is it Jimmy Woo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo, Randall Park. That great. I love him. I love him to bits. What a great character. And also we obviously learn a lot more about Monica Rambeau because when we're introduced to her character, she is in that sitcom. So episode 4 is the kind of like, here's what's been happening in the real world type episode. There's not really anything sitcom related in that. It's more just focused on Monica Rambeau and kind of what's going on in the outside world. And it starts with what I actually find really interesting was a different view of, everyone coming back from the snap.
Yes.
Which is just like
a humorous take with Spider-Man. Oh wait, you haven't seen Far From Home.
No, I haven't seen it. Just explain what happens in that movie because I'm never going to watch it.
Far From Home has a very quick segment on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, there's support counseling, all that. It's like the after effects, and then there's like a brief video of everyone coming back, and it's more played for comedy because someone appears in the middle of a basketball game and gets hit in the basketball.
This is more serious. Like,
yes.
It's more like, this is just what the everyday people are saying. And I like that she comes back in the hospital room where her mother was, and like her mother's just been dead for years, and she's like, what the fuck's going on? But I love her seeing running around the hospital and all the people coming back like around her, and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? So I thought that was an interesting view of it. And then the rest of the episode is just more about setting up like, oh, well, here's the situation. You've got this town. For some reason, these cops that are like sitting on the side of the road right next to the town don't know this town exists. Even though there's a big fucking sign right next to them that says, I get that's the point. They're obviously being mind controlled, but like I find that really interesting. So like the setup of what's actually going on is interesting. I just find throughout the rest of the episodes, the whole sword thing, the whole just what's going on outside, I just find it to be the least interesting thing going on.
It is because
it's just, I don't care about any of it, really. Like, I like Jimmy Woo as a character, but I don't care what he's doing, I do like the bit, though. I do like the bit where he, like, is talking to, what's his name? The guy that's, like, the head of it.
I can't remember. Dan? Is it Dan? I feel like it's Dan.
I don't fucking know. Whoever he is. He's, like, the other antagonist, I guess.
He's the classic mustache-twirling bad guy.
But he's not really even a bad guy. That's the thing. It's only like right at the end when he goes to shoot the children and you're just like, hey, hang on a minute. What are you doing? That's a bit far. Where you're just like, okay, you're actually a piece of shit. Like, for the most part, he's just a guy.
He's just kind of an idiot.
Yeah. But yeah, so like he's talking to him and I like how he like takes the phone. Which, the stupidest guards ever. Like, those guards are standing right behind him as he's taking that phone and they don't see it. Like, so dumb. I thought it was funny, though.
I thought he'd sent, like, a fucking text message behind his back.
Yeah. Which, again, the guards were standing right behind him. So even if he was doing that, they would see it. They're literally behind him, looking at him. It's funny. But, yeah, like, I do like Monica Rambeau as a character. I wasn't really interested at all. And I didn't even know about, by the way, the whole Carol Danvers Captain Marvel connection until a few episodes into her being in the show. I kind of found that out just from listening to a podcast. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. She's like the kid in Captain Marvel. But, yeah, and I as I, we know she has powers, and it kind of evolves as the series progresses. But yeah, I quite liked the character. The part I didn't like as much was Darcy. not a big fan of that character, and I didn't
I
like
liked
her.
her better here than I liked her in 4.
Yeah, like I thought she was better here, but I still don't like her at all. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. But overall, like, I do like the idea that from the outside world, Wanda is like transmitting these sitcoms as like an actual show. I like that idea, and I also love the idea that whenever something happens that isn't a part of the sitcom, she edits it so it doesn't happen in the sitcom. But you really get the sense, like, as they're watching, like, we only see like certain episodes of this show as like we're watching it, but like you get the sense of like there's like full seasons of these sitcom shows that Wanda's transmitting out. Because like I think Darcy says at some point that she's been watching like, you know, like X amount of episodes or whatever that we haven't seen. So I do like that element, and I like how they set up early on that they don't set up the guy's motives, but they do set up that, you know, she is the bad guy of the show before really doubling down on it by having her show, like having him show that footage of her stealing Vision's body in quotation marks, because obviously we later find out that that footage is all like edited a certain way to look a certain way, and that's not what actually happened. But yeah, like that's the part of the show I found the least interesting and then eventually it just became the whole show, which was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, I don't know what you thought about all that.
I'd say it's the modern day part's very much there to, not modern day, this isn't fucking Assassin's Creed. The outside world part is very much there to build up the rest of the MCU. It's you know, it's the connecting factor, which, as you said previously, you don't care about anymore. You're just gonna jump in when ready.
Give me my fucking sitcoms. Give me my 50s sitcom with WandaVision, and if that's literally all the show was, I would be happy with that. I'd be fine. I'd be like, yeah, this is great. Obviously, you know, you have to explain why, but yeah.
It's very much there to A, explain why, B, like connected into things like Doctor Strange or build up new projects.
See, okay, so here's the thing. You know how there's the episode where I think it's Monica. She's like, "Oh, I know this guy who can help us get in,"
yeah,
and everyone was like, "It's gonna be Reed Richards." You know, like who else is it gonna be? Because, you know, she says where he's from. She's like, I know this guy. And it just turns out to be no one. And it's just like, why did you say that? Like that was obviously written in as bait. And that's a criticism I have of this show is very much baiting the audience, which does become a problem because when you start baiting them, like there's a difference between having a mystery and baiting people, and because people are going to theorize. So when you're just constantly baiting them with just shit like that, of course people are going to be disappointed. Yeah, of course people are going to be disappointed. So, you know, that was something that was weird, where she's like, I know this guy, and it just turns out to be fucking no one, just this random person. But yeah, everyone thought like Doctor Strange was going to turn up, and I do remember at the time, I think it was around like episode 5 or 6, I was like, yeah, you know what, I think this could be a valid thing that would happen, especially because we know that it ties into the next Doctor Strange film, so like it would make sense for Doctor Strange to appear. I'm glad he didn't. I will say, I'm glad we didn't get to the final episode and he just turns up. But like it was like a theory and prediction that I could see happening, because I'm like, it just makes sense. Like Reed Richards makes no fucking sense at all. Why would you introduce Reed Richards in this? That makes no sense. But like, yeah, Doctor Strange, okay, I can see it. Mephisto,
that bird sailed about 6 episodes.
Everyone's Mephisto in this show, don't you know, Lewin?
I do know. It's like how Rory's the master.
But yeah, now the other big element of this show, and this is the part that actually interested me the most outside of just the general premise and the relationship between Wanda and Vision, and that was this is the first time, like, I mean, Doctor Strange introduced us to like the more magical elements of the show, of the universe. Sorry, um, like he's the sorcerer supreme, and we learn a bit more about like the magic and things like that. But this is the first time we're seeing like proper like fucking witchcraft. And I really enjoy this part of it. Like Agatha's a great character. Like, she's great. But I really enjoy the whole witchcraft kind of lore, the whole magic kind of elements to it. Like the end of the episode where she goes down into the like basement of Agnes's house or whatever, and it's just like this crypt, and like the book's there, but then there's like these spells on the walls which prevents Wanda from using her powers. I really enjoy that, and I like that how that feeds into Wanda as a character and how she evolves in this show, because Wanda's just always thought she's just had powers because of the Mind Stone and what's happened to her, but she's never really she even says it in the episode that she's not a witch and she doesn't have magic. Like, that's not what she does, when that is very clearly what she does. She's just her understanding of her powers is she just has telekinesis kind of powers. She's got she can do mind control, that kind of thing. And it's very much shown that when she creates this alternate reality, like throughout the show, they do show that she knows, like, she's in control of it, but she's not she doesn't, like, she does say that she doesn't know how it started. She doesn't know how she created it, which we do find out, obviously, in later episode. But I don't know. What did you think of the whole magic element in this? Because it's very different to Doctor Strange. Like, it's a very different thing.
It took me out of it for a quick second, because it's not classic MCU. It's just always weird to have all these things piled onto this universe.
Yeah. That's what Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be, though. It's going to be very much more like classic MCU, which I'm really excited about.
And like, I'm happy to have witchcraft. I think it's an absolutely fantastic addition to the cinema series, because obviously it's been in the comics for fucking who knows how long. But just for a quick second, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then they're like, witches. I'm like, well, I guess I can believe this.
And they go full, like, witch at the stake, like, you've got, Agnes being birthed, and she has that, like, cackling laugh and all that kind of stuff. I was like, this is great. You got the rabbit, and I like that this show actually, like, really teases this early on with Vision and Wanda's magic show in episode 2. They're like, oh, magic or whatever. And then little do you know that that's going to be an actual big element of the show later on. So I thought that was fun.
Both about misdirections and magic. Fitting the show perfectly.
But what did you think of the advertisements throughout all the sitcoms? And the
I
reason why
love them.
They're great. And the one I love the most is the one where it's like the claymation one where the guy's on the island and he just like regresses in. Yeah, and then like I remember at the time when that released, that was the weirdest ad. Like, all the other ads were more like references to things rather than being like, oh, here, where this was one that was so unrelated to anything, and it was just like, what's this one about? And then when you go a couple of episodes later and you see Agnes is draining the powers from all the witch, you're like, that makes sense now. So I thought that was clever. I thought that was a bit of fun. But yeah, this all feeds into because essentially what this show is an origin story. Obviously, Wanda has been in the MCU for a bit, but this is very much like, this is the origin story of how she becomes Scarlet Witch, because she's never been Scarlet Witch. She's always just
been Wanda Maximoff.
She's been Wanda, and she has some abilities. One thing I did like about this is they brought back the like mind, like, control thing. Like that creepy thing she does in Age of Ultron, where she creeps up behind someone and she's like, wiggling her fingers and all that. I like that they brought that back in this. That was kind of fun.
It's been so long since I watched Age of Ultron that I actually forgot she ever did it. So when she did it in the episode, I was like, this is a thing? That's fucking creepy. And then I went
Yeah.
to read the Friends. I was like, oh, Age of Ultron. I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because most of the time her powers has just been moving shit around with the little glows and whatever, but like that was like a part of her powers that they just kind of forgot about. I think it's because it is kind of like more of a villainous thing, and because they started moving her away from being like, because in Age of Ultron she is a bad guy, and obviously like she goes through that arc in that film, but she does start out a bad guy, and when she does that stuff she is the bad guy at the moment, right? So I think that's probably why they just stopped doing that power, because it is very much kind of like a villainous type thing. Like, a hero character wouldn't do that. But yeah, this is very much the origin story of the Scarlet Witch. Obviously, it's a completely different origin still to the comic books, obviously. But what did you think about the little retcon in this show? It's not like a big in your face retcon, but it is a subtle retcon that explains her potentially always being a mutant from birth, rather than her getting her powers from the Mind Stone.
Made sense to me.
Yeah, like, because obviously they had to change her origin completely because they didn't have the X-Men at the time they introduced her, and they couldn't be like, well, she's a mutant. So they had to like completely change her origin and go, well, her powers come from the Mind Stone and, whatever experiments. But I like the little subtle retcon when she's a kid, and they have this quick shot where she, like, when the bomb falls and it doesn't go off, and she like reaches out very quickly, like it's a kind of blink and you'll miss it moment. But part of Scarlet Witch's powers is her powers of probability, right? And we always know from her backstory that the bomb never went off. But like, if you think about it, it's a Stark Industries bomb, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to just not go off. So it's very much implied that Wanda is the reason that it never went off, and it doesn't like explicitly say or go straight out to say it, but it does seem to me like they're retconning her backstory a bit to make way for when they do eventually bring the mutants in, they can kind of bring her into it and make her a mutant by saying, well, there's this scene, and, maybe she's been a mutant since birth. It's just she never really was aware of her powers or had control over them, and it wasn't until the Mind Stone where they activated her powers, basically. Because we do see that, like, with when she interacts with that Mind Stone, we do see that little vision of Scarlet Witch when she gets her powers, which is a different thing to what I'm talking about, but it is very much a case of like we're gunning. Do you think then that when they do eventually bring mutants in, because they have confirmed that they're not this phase, but I think it might be the next phase, that they're doing a film called The Mutants, do you think they're going to retcon her backstory more to make her the daughter of Magneto? Do you think they'll do that?
No, because we saw her dad.
But
unless they want to say
unless they
pull a
turn
fucking
around
Rey Skywalker, I don't think I would be impressed by that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a great idea, but I mean, it's like the easy get out though, isn't it? It's like the easy way to go. Yes. Well, like her parents obviously aren't her parents, and maybe she was like a foster kid, because they pretty much said that like it's because it is heavily implied that the reason why Pietro became Quicksilver wasn't because of the stone, because how they say that like no one survived it, but she does, but then also her brother does as well, so that they do suggest that the reason why he survived it and got the powers was because of her, rather than him necessarily having any kind of mutant gene.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll turn around and go, well, Quicksilver was a mutant, but I can definitely turn around and say, like, in a few years' time, them just going straight up saying, no, Wanda was always a mutant from birth, and I don't know if they will retcon her backstory to make her Magneto's kid, but I mean, if they want to make it more comic book accurate, I mean, it's an easy kind of get out, but we'll see what happens with that. But this is very much the origin story of Scarlet Witch. This is how she becomes the Scarlet Witch and how she unlocks her powers. And damn, I gotta say, there's just something about Wanda in the final episode in that Scarlet Witch outfit that just does it for me. You know what I mean? It's just something about it.
Let's just put it out there. It is a fucking awesome costume.
It's a great costume, isn't it? Like,
it was one of those things where the MCU has been very, very good at translating cheesy fucking comic book costumes. And
we also got those as well.
We got those, and we get the modern take, and you're like, this is actually the grounded take. And you're like, this looks fucking sick.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a really good... And I think it's just, like, the way her hair is as well, you know. It just looks... She looks great, and she looks real badass in it. And I like that the little headpiece doesn't look... Yeah, it doesn't look cringe. It doesn't look terrible. Like, it actually looks like it works. Like, it fits. So they did a really good job with designing her costume. And it's just great to see her have a new costume, too. That's just really... and
I like her casual just vibes in, because she's the only one who's just wearing fucking casual clothes to most battles. But it's nice to have something.
She usually has, like, her red,
hero-y.
like, thing and, like, the corset and things. But, like, yeah, she's never really had, like a superhero outfit.
Or a supervillain outfit, as may be.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I really like it, and I like that it is the origin story, like how that ties into like that, I guess, prophecy, in that book of like the Scarlet Witch, and the Scarlet Witch isn't born. What is it? She isn't born, but she's like,
Is it a reincarnation thing? No. Insinuate birth.
I don't think
can't
so.
remember what the line was.
The line was like, yeah, she's not born, but she's like, she like manifests, or like she's created in like this moment or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but like when Wanda sees the vision of Scarlet Witch, which is later basically the same shot they use for when she becomes the Scarlet Witch, but it seems like this like dormant... I don't want to say like personality, like it's not like a split personality situation, but it's like a dormant version of Wanda that's like her full potential. But like, it's kind of weird because it's almost like a different character, but it's also not. You know what I mean? Like it's...
I think we can just get away with saying it's her potential locked away.
Yeah. It's like... but it's like prophesized that she will destroy the world or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And then, the end of, so I guess Agatha's goal is to, because in this episode, something new, this whole series, something new for Wanda is her altering reality powers. We've never seen her do that in the MCU, and this is like kind of new to her, which is kind of what brings Agatha there anyway, because she's like, she notices this and she's like, wow, this is like powerful magic, and she's like, I wants it, kind of like the Ring, going back to Lord of the Rings. She wants it, but yeah, I love, well, let's just talk about the finale. Fuck it. So the finale is very much... I'll get to my point in a sec, but the finale is very much just your standard MCU third act, Like, it's very much like, okay, well, Wanda shoots a laser into the sky at one point, because, it can't be a comic book movie without a laser shooting into the sky. What else happens? Vision and Vision fight for a bit. But one thing I like about that is they fight for a bit, but then they have like this intellectual conversation, and I'm like, hey, this is actually good. Like,
that was a part that I particularly loved. There were two main parts about the finale fight that I loved. There
Yeah,
was
yeah.
there was Vision doing his fucking Theseus's ship. If you replace everything, is it really the same ship? Love that.
It reminds
And
me of the little monologue from the 12th Doctor in Deep Breath.
I think it's scary that both of us are about to draw analogues to Doctor Who for something.
Question: if you take a broom and then you replace the handle and then later on you replace the brush, is it still the same broom? Answer: that's not really strictly relevant. So let's just like move on. Oh, I love the 12th Doctor so much. But yeah, go ahead, make your comparison to Doctor Who.
My comparison to Doctor Who more comes down to Vision himself, less the final fight.
Yeah.
I feel really sorry for the simulation Vision because he kind
White
of
Vision.
gives no
the Wanda created Vision. Yeah,
Wanda
yeah.
created Vision because he kind of gives me John Smith, Human Nature vibes.
Yeah.
That he's got his life, he's living it. He doesn't remember anything else.
Yeah. Like
Things
he
are going
just
to shit around him, and then he's brought to task that in order for things to be okay, he's got to fucking die.
yeah. That is a pretty fair comparison. I didn't even think of that, and then you just brought up that, and I'm like, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, eh?
Because
But yeah.
Vision's whole scenario in all of this is one of my favorite things of just his journey to be of self-realizing that everything here is wrong. He's not comfortable with living the idealistic life at the risk of hundreds, thousands, however many are in this Jersey town.
And it's definitely like a character arc that builds up over time because like he always has his suspicions throughout the series, and it just kind of builds up and up and up. And I know obviously as viewers there's a lot of time where we're questioning, is this the real Vision? Because they have like that moment where like Wanda sees like the dead Vision for a brief second.
And you're led
like,
to believe that she takes the body.
Yeah, so is this just her puppeteering this body, this dead Vision, to make him like real? And it just turns out like she literally just manifests him out of nowhere. In her like grief, when she's like, when everything in terms of like the emotions she's feeling comes to a head, she just creates this alternate reality and just manifests like her memories of Vision, and like obviously like her powers come from the Mind Stone, so like her memories of Vision become an actual living entity, which is just fucking wild. Like, holy shit, like that is a power she has. But the thing is, though, again, there's the downside to the power, because Vision can't exist outside of her reality.
Exactly, and it's that tragedy of knowing that to do the right thing, just to do the right thing, you're gonna have to get rid of everything that you love.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that final like scene, where she's like, saying goodbye to the kids, and then, there's like Vision and Wanda in the lounge room as like the what do they call the what is it, like the big red wall thing? They had a name.
The Hex.
The Hex, yeah. And the Hex is coming in, and like, damn, like that was a pretty emotional scene. Like, I've become invested in those characters through the course of this show, so to hit that scene, I was just like, oh man, fuck.
It kind of hurts going forward, because we know that White Vision now remembers things, but he can't really pass the information. He's got it, he just doesn't feel attached to it.
Yeah.
So we're back to Vision being kind of a blank slate, which fucking sucks after this series did such a good job at developing that relationship.
This comes into my problems with the series, which is the thing is there's only so many times you can kill a character off and bring them back before it's just like, who fucking cares anymore? And I think the way ending this series with White Vision, like, yes, there's still ramifications for Wanda's actions, but I think a better way to go would have been to literally say, like, as a ramification for her actions, literally to say that once you destroy this reality, this Vision isn't real and Vision's dead. Like, I don't like... I like the White Vision thing for, like, the spectacle side of it, but, like, I think just as a scapegoat to bring Vision back in some form at a later stage, I think... I don't like that. I think there needs to be consequences for Wanda's actions, and I don't think by the end of this series she has those. Because she gets her powers, and, you know, yes, she says goodbye to Vision and all of that, right? But Vision's still out there.
But I don't think she knows that. Like, to the audience, it looks like her consequences were lessened. To her, it looks the same as it ever did.
Yeah, but the thing is, you just know that they're going to meet at some point in a later stage.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if White Vision changed his appearance to look like Vision. Like, just how he normally looks. Like, next time we see him, he just looks like Vision. But it's like you said, there's no, like, emotional attachment there. Like, he just has the memories. But even said, like, it's just a scapegoat to bring him back. And I feel like death needs to be it needs to be a thing in this universe. It's the same problem Doctor Who has, you know, like, death just isn't a thing unless
Excuse me, let me just turn it down. It's the problem that Stephen Moffat has.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, death is not a thing, and it's the same in the MCU. They kill Loki, but then they're like, well, he's a popular character, so I know, let's just bring him back. And yes, it's not the same Loki, it's alternate universe Loki, but it's still Loki. Yeah, it's the same thing with Vision. Like, Vision's death, you know, like, Vision was I love the idea for Wanda's character that no matter what she does, she can't bring Vision back. You know, she can't sustain this fake Vision, and she can't bring Vision back. Vision and Loki were, like, the two characters from the snap that... Not from the snap, but, like, from the events of those films that didn't come back, right? And so I feel like...
I just realised how similar Loki's situation is to Vision's.
Yeah, it's just, like, these... But, like, Marvel have just found these, like, scapegoats. Like, I know in comic books, characters die and come back all the time. I get it.
Yeah.
But, like, there needs to be some kind of... Like, stop putting in these scapegoats to, like, well, we can just bring this character back later. And just go, no, this character is dead. And nothing... And I think it would be more impactful for Wanda's character moving forward if this didn't happen. Because we know that they're going to reunite, in quotation marks, at some point. Like, that's what they're setting up. It's going to happen. But, like, why? Let's not do that. Let's make Vision... Like, let's make it a consequence of Wanda's actions that she has to live her life without Vision. And that's her character arc of the show. Because that's the character arc she goes on, right? Like, she goes on this arc where she realizes what she's doing is wrong, and that she can't... That she has to sacrifice Vision and her family for the greater good. That's a character arc. So I feel like later on, when they just bring Vision back again, it's just going to undermine the whole thing. It's just going to make it pointless. I do like, and I do want to talk about the post-credit scene.
I haven't seen the second one, so I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, so I didn't watch it either. I just watched it on YouTube. But basically, what happens... Because the first post-credit scene is fucking whatever, you know. It's like, oh, look, set up for Captain Marvel 2. Who cares? The second one, though, is Wanda in, like, this, like, little cottage just in the middle of nowhere. And she's, like, you know... I think she's, like, you know, drinking tea or coffee or whatever. And she walks inside, and we see her walk past the camera, but there's this, like, little red glow to the side of the camera as she walks past. And then the camera pans over, and you see... I'm just gonna... For the sake of this scene, I'm just gonna say Scarlet Witch is floating in air reading that book. I can't remember what the book's called.
The evil book?
The evil book, yeah, that's its
we'll just
official
call it the
name.
Evil Book.
That's its official name. Do not fact check us on that, because we are right.
I think we need to be called up on even more shit that we say.
But yeah, like, I do like that. So, like, yeah, so there's, like, the real Wanda is just, like, doing her thing, but then in secret she's also, like, harnessing the power of this book, which does set her up. And I don't know if she's going to be like a villain per se in Doctor Strange, but it is setting her. I would like her to be the villain, but I feel like they've kind of done that now with her in this show. But they have set up. I think it's what it's going to be. Is it's going to be a case of Wanda becomes too powerful that she like, because the one thing with Wanda as a character that they've always had, and this is like the big constant character thing that's been throughout all her appearances, is she's always making mistakes and she doesn't have control over her powers. In Civil War, when she's trying to stop the guy from exploding near people, she ends up shooting him into a building and just killing a bunch of people, right? In Age of Ultron, she doesn't have full control over her powers. So that's been like a constant theme for her character, and it's the same in this show. She doesn't have control over everything.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to happen. She's not going to be a villain, because they've already done that. I think what it's going to be is she's just going to be so powerful that she just doesn't necessarily have control over everything. And I think her kind of role is like her involvement in Doctor Strange is going to be kind of there to kind of
keep things in check.
I think something has to happen for Doctor Strange to get involved. Like, I think something has to happen that's bad, but then that's where Doctor Strange comes in. And I think by the end of that film, she's going to be much more in control of her new powers that she has. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think she'll be the villain, because Doctor Strange also set up a villain with the post-credit scene of that. What's that guy's name? The guy that was like the mentor. Like, they set him up to be a villain. So I think
he was played by Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I can never pronounce his name, but I know who you're talking about. But yeah, like, they set him up to be the villain of the show, the next film. So I don't think they're gonna just not do that and put Scarlet Witch as the villain. I think it's gonna be very much a case of he's the villain, but we've got this whole Scarlet Witch situation to deal with. But I'm looking forward to it. And that, like, I literally did not care about Doctor Strange whatsoever. Even when they announced that Elizabeth Olsen was in it, I was like, I don't care. Like, I like that character, but I don't care. And then now that I've watched this, I'm like, holy shit, boys. Let's fucking go. Like, let's do it. I'm so pumped for Doctor Strange now. I want to watch that film so badly because I just want more Scarlet Witch. I'm so excited. Obviously, the whole order of how all of this stuff was meant to release is a bit all fucked at the moment. Like, Doctor Strange was meant to release after this, I believe. I believe this was meant to come out, and then Doctor Strange was meant to come out.
Yeah, because Doctor Strange was meant to come out before fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, but then everything was just kind of delayed, and they ended up shooting Spider-Man first, I guess. Well, I mean, Spider-Man's a Sony thing, so, I mean, so that would have its own schedule separate to the MCU films, separate to Marvel Studios' production schedule.
This entire phase is going to look better on DVD.
Yeah, I think once you go... Because now there is that whole... Like, there's going to be a massive gap between this and when Doctor Strange comes out now.
Which is, I think, June next year?
Yeah, I think they're still shooting it at the moment.
Yeah, they are.
But I'm looking forward to that. And I do like Doctor Strange as a character. I just didn't like his film. But I am looking forward to this. And also, this is going to be like the first, like, the big, like, we're bringing in the multiverse to this, which I thought this show was going to do when, what's his name? Evan Peters turned up.
Yeah.
And again, like, I'm not going to say I was expecting the Fox universe version, because I think Marvel are like, okay, we're just going to kind of like... We're going to reboot everything. We're not going to bring anything over from those things. But I thought it was going to be a situation where, like, well, okay, so this is Quicksilver from another universe that, is Quicksilver. He just looks like the X-Men version as well. Because people have wanted to see Evan Peters and Elizabeth Olsen together. So obviously his inclusion in this show was entirely fan service.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. Considering that it all boils down to a dick joke... Bit insulting, but you know what? That's fine. But they're great together.
100%.
I would have liked to see Aaron Taylor Johnson, though. I would have liked to see him. I think... I don't know. I think it would have just been better
I think a brief cap-off scene would have been nice. Kind of like fucking Clara or Amy showing up at the end of a Doctor's Regeneration, you know?
Yeah. I think just something with him would have been nice. But, you know, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, that was fucking, like... I don't really care about a lot, but that's one thing I was just like, this is shit, and, like, I'm actually insulted by this. Because I was like Evan Peters just turns out like it was the biggest bait that this show did. And look, I'm not gonna lie, like fucking Paul Bettany, as much as I love him, he really wasn't helping the whole situation. I love how his cameo he was talking about was just him.
That was the first thing that I said to my mom after we finished watching the episode. Because we'd read that interview like a few weeks beforehand, where he said, for the record, he said, it's an actor he's wanted to work with for a long time. And we watched the episode, waited till after the first after credits scene because we didn't know about the second one, and then I just turned my went. So I guess the actor that he's most wanted to work with for his whole life was himself. What a standout guy.
Will say one thing I like about the finale, and this does tie into my problems with the series, which is what we actually are talking about. But one thing with the finale is I don't like it's very much just like your standard Marvel CGI shoot magic at each other type thing. But I do like how, as much as it doesn't actually make sense, I do like how Wanda gets out of the whole situation. How she as she's shooting Agatha, and she's missing and hitting the sides, she's actually casting those spells so Agatha can't use her magic. Which doesn't make sense when you think about it, because when did Wanda find the time to actually learn that? Because that's actual magic that she needs to learn how to do.
Yeah, this is very true.
It's fine. I thought it was a clever way to end the fight. I was like, oh, that's actually clever. You introduced this in the first episode, and now you're like, interesting. But also, it's like, oh, don't you need to learn how to do that? When did you do that? But
yeah, I didn't think about that, but I did like the tactic used.
Yeah, it was nice. My thing is, though, is if she didn't have her magic powers, wouldn't she just fall out of the sky?
Yeah.
She couldn't fly anymore.
So.
She would just fucking fall to the ground. She doesn't have her magic powers. But I did like that whole bit. And I like how that all kind of manifested in the Scarlet Witch kind of coming into existence. And yeah, I don't think it's the last we've seen of Agatha. Because they very neatly just tie a little bow on her and just put her to the side and say, you know what, she's just here and she's just being that annoying sitcom neighbor, but she'll be back later. But the question is, without the hex, does she have her powers back? You would assume so, right?
Yes, you would assume so, yeah. But wait, are we talking about Wanda or
Agatha?
Agnes? I think Agatha's...
she's been the reality's been changed in the sense that she's now Agnes again, but you would think for a witch, obviously we know for a fact that the actual real personality of all these people is dormant in their mind and they're playing a character that they can't get out of. My thing is, wouldn't Agnes, if Agnes is because Agnes is pretty powerful, right?
Yeah,
wouldn't
she be
able to break out? Surely she'd be able to break out of this if she's that powerful.
But I guess that's meant to show the clear differential in the Scarlet Witch's power and any other witch's power.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I definitely think it's not the last we've seen of her. I think she'll be back later on. Probably not in Doctor Strange or anything, but I think at a later stage. That's why they didn't plus, you also can't have Wanda kill her, I guess, because then that really cements that she's a villain. You need to have her, but like it's just a nice, neat way to tie it up by just being like, oh well, we'll just make her Agnes again and just like just keep her in this town and she's here if we ever need her or whatever.
The MCU way.
I don't think she'll be back as a villain. I think it'll very much be a case of Wanda's going to need her, so it'll be very much a case of like this thing.
But the looks of it, kind of a Christoph Waltz No Time to Die dealio.
It's kind of like Wanda's just keeping her in her back pocket for now, and we'll revisit it a bit later on. But yeah, my problem with the show though is it just devolves into the usual Marvel stuff. And don't get me wrong, like it's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with a bit of spectacle, but I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more. Just something that's a little bit different and a little bit unique, because every single Marvel movie always ends the same way, and even like the ones that are like really good and the ones we like, it always end up in like the CGI boss fight, you know, and it's just kind of like, it's just boring. I again, like, don't get me wrong, it has its place and it's perfectly fine, but it's not the interesting part to watch. It's just kind of like, yeah, okay, they're fighting, you know? And I think after like 20 films of that, I think it's, you know, I really was hoping with these TV shows that they would do something different and do something a bit more. And I kind of didn't get that from the last episode, so I was a bit disappointed by that. But overall, though, I think the series overall, beyond those few little problems here and there, I think the pacing's a bit off as well. I don't think this series is very well paced here and there. It's like I was saying, like I think the first 3 episodes should have dropped at the same time rather than the first 2. But now watching this show, I definitely think this should have been a binge show. I don't think this should have been a weekly release show. It's not like The Mandalorian.
Should have been more like a Netflix release.
Yeah, I think this should have been like a dump it all at once and you just binge it. I think it would have worked better for the show, because then I don't think people would have come out of it disappointed from the final episode.
They wouldn't have had a chance to build up.
They wouldn't have had a whole fucking month of building up theories about Mephisto. So yeah, I think maybe the release schedule for this is wrong. So it just goes to show that not everything needs to be a binge drop show like what Netflix does, but not everything needs to be a week-to-week release as well. You know, I think it works well for Mandalorian, but
Mandalorian works because it doesn't have an overarching. As we've described it before, it is filler the series.
Yeah. Like, it does have its overarching plot, but it's not so much a plot that's, like, in your face that you have to theorize about. Yeah. Where this is very much reliant on its overarching plot.
Exactly,
But, yeah, I quite enjoy this show. Would you like to see any more, like, Wanda and Vision type shows, or like not necessarily like a season 2 Wandavision, but like would you like to see in maybe another show later on down the line with Scarlet Witch or with Vision or something like that?
100%, because this show to Wanda and Vision is what Clone Wars is to the prequels.
Yes, another good comparison right there.
It builds onto them and gives them so much depth. Like there's already stuff there, but it connects things together that you're just like, fuck, I love you guys now.
But yeah, I definitely like to see more of this. I do like the idea of these shows being like one-off shows though. Like, I do like the idea of like you have your WandaVision, you have your Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you have your Loki series, and then those stories are done. But that doesn't necessarily mean Wanda can't have another show later on down the line if it's relevant to telling a story.
100%. In fact, if Wanda does turn out to be a villain, revisiting the TV format is probably the best way to de-escalate her character.
Yeah. Doctor Strange just locks her into a thing. Like, she gets just so powerful, and so Doctor Strange is like, nah, you know what, we're done with this 50s sitcom.
TV realm.
Here we go. And it's not Wanda creating it this time, it's Doctor Strange locking her in this world.
Based on all the shows he loved growing up.
Yeah, and then we can have a WandaVision season 2. And it's just like, I don't want to see a WandaVision season 2, but I do want to see more. So I think these shows have a lot of potential
Yeah.
Especially for fleshing out these side characters. You know, like I'm really excited for Bucky and Falcon, and I keep saying Bucky and Falcon, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I'm really excited for that because I really want to see, you know, I think Bucky's going to be, you know, like Bucky's going to have an interesting arc in that show because it's going to be very much him discovering who he is. Because he up until this point, he's been the Winter Soldier. You know, he hasn't really, you know, he's been this brainwashed.
He's not Bucky Barnes anymore.
Yeah, so I guess it's going to be him going on this journey. And we see it, like he's cut his hair. Or in real life, he's not wearing that long-haired wig anymore. He's cut his hair. He's shaved the beard a bit. And so now he's, you know, it's him rediscovering who Bucky Barnes is. And I guess Falcon is going to be, it's more of, I think his character arc's going to be more based
living up to the mantle.
How do you live up to that? So yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with that show. And I think all these shows have potential to really tell interesting stories, but it comes back to what I said. I want more than just the standard Marvel stuff. I want something different and unique. Having a TV show allows you to do that. You can do something different that you might not necessarily do in a film. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not hoping that, and I don't think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to devolve into a CGI boss fight because it's not the type of thing for that. But if you think about Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like that final fight between him and Winter Soldier does take place in a CG environment. So I kind of hope that doesn't happen. But what I'm expecting from this is when they go up against Zemo, I'm expecting like something similar to the Tony Stark Captain America fight in Civil War or the Winter Soldier Captain America fight in those. Yeah. That's what I'm expecting, and that's what I hope. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing where these shows go, and I would definitely say I'm more invested in the ideas of the shows rather than I'm invested in the films. But you know, it should be interesting.
As Marvel's first outing into, I'll say first outing because
it's Marvel Studios' first outing.
As Marvel Studios' first outing into the TV realm on what is arguably their most dangerous change-up in a very long time.
Remember when Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, was the most
out there thing,
crazy thing that Marvel had done? Remember those days?
How is Cosmic going to play into it? Maybe they shouldn't.
That was like the most wildest thing they'd ever done, and I actually liked the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. And then now it's fuck, a TV show, oh magic, oh the multiverse, holy shit! The MCU's just become so big that I really am looking forward to. That's another reason why I'm looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I'm just looking forward. I think it's time for some classic MCU. I think it's time.
We're at a stage. It's been nearly 15 years.
Yeah.
We're at a time where there is a clear distinction between old and new.
Yeah.
MCU, and it will be nice to have that sit down, just grounded MCU again. At least that's what I hope it is.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's our thoughts on WandaVision. I don't really have much more to add. I really liked it.
Yeah, likewise. I think it was a great project, and I look forward to, honestly, all of the shows I now have more hope for than I did before.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode of WandaVision, which comes out in 2022, which is Doctor Strange. Is it Doctor Strange? I'm looking here. It says Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Actually, yeah.
I thought it was the Multiverse of Madness, but no, it is. No, it's in the. Remember when this film was going to be a horror film, and now it's no longer going to be a horror film?
Which is funny because it's still directed by Sam Raimi, or it wasn't directed. Well, no,
it wasn't directed by Sam Raimi before.
But now it is, and Sam Raimi is a classic horror director.
Yeah, but I think they're moving away from the horror, right? Which that's actually what got me interested about that film in the first place. I was like, yeah, let's just have like this weird cosmic horror film. That sounds great. And then they were like, no, it's not going to be horror film. And I was like, I don't really care anymore. But then it was like, WandaVision leads into this. And I'm like, hey, WandaVision is pretty good. So I'm actually pretty excited. And what's his name? Chet Weddell, blah 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 blah. He's also going to be in the sequel. So yeah, he's definitely going to be the villain. Just looking
in
at
the film,
just looking at the cast list now, he's definitely going to be the villain.
I'm looking at the this little tag on Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. In the film, Strange unleashes an unspeakable evil as he faces a friend turned enemy. That could be
literally
people.
Wanda or this guy. I think it's going to be this guy because they set up his arc. Because he's now, former mentor, and he's now hunting other sorcerers. Because I think, doesn't he, at the end of the film, he believes like magic is bad or some shit, and people shouldn't wield magic. I don't know.
If he didn't get snapped away, he's been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah, true. He's been hunting, because Doctor Strange was snapped away, so he might be like, well, I don't need to worry about him anymore. But
fucking Strange comes back. It's like, oh well.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah, business. We're back to the business, but I mean that is a very vague thing because that could literally mean both of them.
There could be two people.
In fact, that's probably what both of them is. But like, were they ever friends? I don't even think they ever interacted with each other.
Yeah, no, true. They're more ally turned enemy.
They're more like acquaintances of acquaintances rather than
friend of a friend.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to refer to him, not her.
Yeah.
But interesting. I'm excited. Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter are like saying, "God, we can't wait till the next episode of Wandavision," which is referring to that film. So, yeah, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, this was a good episode. This was a lot of fun talking about.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed most of our topics.
Yeah, you're not gonna like next episode though, and I'll tell you why. It's because we're gonna be checking out Justice League next episode. Even though we talked about this beforehand, this is the part where you're like, fuck.
Oh, trust me, no matter how many times you bring it up, it just melts into my soul a little bit further that I'm watching that fucking film.
Yeah. But, like, I think it'd be an interesting thing, like, because it is a big, like, I mean, think about it, like, how often does this kind of thing ever happen? You know, like...
Practically never.
I mean, I think the only reason this is happening and it exists is because of COVID, because Warner Brothers are like, fuck, we have to delay all our content. What do we have? And they're like, hey, Zach, you still have that hard drive with all that footage, right? Yeah, sweet, cool. Let's make Justice League. You know, because they're like, well, fuck, what are we going to do? But they spent $10 million on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, just think about that. That's fucking insane.
That's a return they're not going to get back.
They're not going to get that in HBO Max subscriptions. Just as an editor, I'm purely interested in this film from a case study perspective of being like, this is a case study in editing and how different editing can completely change a scene. So when we talk about it in our next episode, that's kind of where I'm going to be coming from. I'm going to be like talking about, well, like this scene is not just different, but the reason why it's different is because it's edited this certain way, which just, you know, gives it this whole different context. And you're going to be coming at it from the unique perspective of having never watched the original. So this will be your kind of first experience with this film, but hopefully hopefully the way it works out though, hopefully the experience you have would be completely different to if you had watched the original, if that makes sense. Like what I'm trying to say is, like, hopefully this is a completely different film to the original. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that's what we're talking about next episode. And yeah, as always, if you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like, make sure you leave a thumbs up on podcast services or whatever you do over there. I'll try and get this up on all services soon. I just need, you know, like a spare 5 minutes just to sit down and actually do it. But yeah, I've been talking for too long. I need to have a good drink of water. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll leave it to Lewin to take us out.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun talking about everything today, and we will see you all next month. I'll say
probably
month.
In a few weeks.
See you in a few weeks. Catch you later.
Wouldn't it be amazing if you we got to the next episode and you were actually like, wouldn't it be fucking wild if you were actually just like, you know what, I actually like this movie? I don't think you will, and I'm sure you don't think you will as well. But wouldn't it be interesting
100%.
if you turned around and you were like, you know what, I actually liked this. That'd be so fucking weird. All right, see you everyone.
Catch you later.